Hello, everyone. This is MOL 101 in the Kingdom of Atlantia. I am your host or co-host, um, Lady Qualan Chaghan. I am the Kingdom MOL at this time. And as the lovely Baroness Kathera noted to everyone, this is a recorded session for us to be able to hopefully post to the university for later use. MOL 101, we're going to cover a few topics. What is an MOL? Warrant process and requirements, the MOL at event, an MOLIC, youth and equestrian, unique changes and differences for them. So what is an MOL? An MOL is the minister of the list. He, she, they. Coordinate with our marshals before an event, check with the fighters events, obviously, and run the scorekeeping for tournaments. It's another pair of eyes that says for safety. However, what we are is yes, we are another pair of eyes for safety, but we are not responsible for safety on the field. We are, our designation for safety goes is that we simply follow the policies of the Atlantean and SCA regulations and rule books. And as long as we follow those policies, we ensure the field safety that way. We also run reports after the event for documentation purposes. In general, we help run the list table. We check in people, make sure that they are all authorized to be on that field. We make sure our marshals are warranted to be on that field and running that fight, that they are warranted for that particular type of fighting, from armored to rapier, equestrian, and so forth. And this involves also following along and recording who won or who participated in the different activities. So if it was a tournament, if it was a practice or a fight or something like that, you can track all of these things, and who may have won the tournaments and such. The types of MOLs are in training. A minister of the list in training is a title for those who have taken the 101 and 1 and 2, registered as with the training deputy, but we right now do not have one. So you basically register with me, the KMOL, and let me know that you are currently looking to become an MOL. And then you are working on your MOL warrant. When you do this, you request a warrant on the warrant site, which we will get into in another class. But it allows you to show me that you are in training. There's documentation and paperwork that you fill out that gets signed by other MOLs as you do your internship, as we call it, where you sit with an MOL at the table, learn how to do the paperwork, learn how to do the checking in process, and work with them to see how the whole job works. There's also just your standard MOL title, Minister of the List. There's an MOLIC. This is a person who is the MOL in charge of the event. They oversee the other MOLs helping at the table. They usually bring all the paperwork and files. However, I have seen where all of us MOLs, in our own just general observance of being prepared, because we are reasonably well organized people for this purpose, have your standard little box or folder or some sort of briefcase, if you will. For me, it's a file box that allows you to have all of the different forms that you will need to be filled out. You'll have clipboards with you to be able to attach those forms to, because due to our events being outside, the wind can actually take your papers and just fly them everywhere. So you learn to kind of also throw into that box of yours, usually some paperweights, some pens, paper, things like that. Also having just a general like notepad can help you if you're having to be a little flexible with some of the tourneys and events that the marshal is wanting to perform. So these are things that the MOLIC may have with them, although I see that oftentimes our ministers of list will keep them. The Kingdom Deputy. I have underneath me as the Kingdom Minister list, which is the last one. I'm the Kingdom's highest MOL. I am kind of like the boss over the MOLs, and then I report to the Earl Marshal, and I'm actually on the great officers meeting, so I get to hear the things that are going across the different marshalates to see if there's anything that's going to affect our office. So I have Kingdom deputies that I distribute this information to and help to run the rest of our different areas. We have regional deputies that you can go to in each of your states to be able to help you contact, get in touch with if you have a problem, if you need some of the verification of authorizations, which we'll get to. They have access to be able to get to those. And if not, I do, and can actually send them some to you or meet up with you at an event and bring them to you. So again, we have was an MOL. Every MOL should help at least one event a year. You should be able to check in most of your fighters by being able to look at their card. Should be able to do a standard authorization and then run a basic turning. Your optional, of course, optional task is be an MOL at an event, an MOLIC, and to be able to troubleshoot a fighter card or an authorization if something didn't work right, or a person shows up at your table, has only the yellow copy of his add-on to his fighter card and doesn't have the form on his authorization card that he should have. You can kind of figure out why, possibly find out why. You can run elaborate tourneys in all disciplines. There's all kinds of different tournaments that you can do, and we can get into that in the 102 class. Enter authorizations into the system and teach MOL classes or be an MOL officer. These are optional tasks, but I encourage everyone to be able to consider doing these because they help to enrich part of what you're doing in this job. Your guidelines is be flexible, but we all know how the field can go. And just being able to watch the field in itself, you can see how things don't always work out the way you think they should. But don't let your fighters or marshals just walk over you. You have the right to tell them no. If something's not working right, or to tell them, please wait a moment, I have to finish this. And you are the one running that field with coordination with that marshal. So you have to be able to do your job in order for them to be able to do theirs. And this is part of the communication that has to go on between your marshals and your MOLs. If you're going to be an MOL at an event, I encourage you to reach out to your marshal and reach out to the autocrat and find out who's running the field, who's going to be your marshal on that field. If they don't know yet, be able to work with them, and once they do, talk to that marshal. Find out what disciplines are actually going to happen at that event. Rapier, armored, youth, even equestrian. These are all things that we have to coordinate how to run and make appropriate time for each MOL. You want to ensure you got proper staffing for the sign-ins and the tournaments and so forth. If you've got only one MOL and they're wanting to run 4 different disciplines, that's not enough people to help you do. And I always encourage to schedule at least 2 MOLs to run that table, even during slow times of the event, because you might want to get up and go to the bathroom, and the table has to be manned through the entire event. If you walk away from the table and there's no one at the MOL table, you have to close the field, or they are expected to. It doesn't always happen, I know, and I've seen events where we've had to flex this to be able to accommodate the lack of number of people that we had available. But it is important to try and be able to have at least 2 of you if you can. Even an IT can help you in this regard. They do not have to be fully warranted just to be able to help you manage the table in part, as long as they're there to be able to say, hey, she'll be back in a moment, when we'll be continuing then. Have multiple sign-offs for the event reports. There are different MOLs at each event. If you do, you're going to want to make sure that you have each one of those MOLs basically help you sign off one of the event reports. Maybe have one MOL run one tournament, another one run a different. But you have to have signatures for all the documents are legal names, not your SCA name. I cannot tell you how many times I have gotten something that's been signed by a marshal and it's their SCA name. So if someone is causing a situation, you get a marshal in charge of the field, charge of the event, autocrat, seneschal, all of these people need to be available, need to know that for the issue to be resolved. If you have a problem with someone being disruptive, being rude, discourteous, aggressive, you do not have to take that. We do not have to take that kind of abuse. And we know, and this is one of those things that they are very much so trying to make sure does not happen, neither to our marshals nor to our MOLs. That if you have a problem with someone, speak up, let someone know, call for assistance. And most importantly, document it. It goes in your report in the comments log whenever you put it into the computer. It should go on your report form that you're filling out at the table so that you can document who this person was, what happened, and how it was resolved. You want to keep a copy of the MOL handbook with you because there's inevitably going to be a question that comes up, such as, can the king authorize somebody? It's like, well, um, these are kind of questions that you might get sidelined or with, and you kind of want to know, hey, well, what can I do with that? And warrant. The warrant requirements is you have to have a paid membership. You have to have your completed training for MOL 101 and 102 and read the handbook and policies. You kind of have to know what they are. You have to register as an MOLIT, do the apprenticeship for at least 2 apprenticeships where you sit at the table and get trained by a already warranted MOL. And then you complete a take-home test. All of these are available on these in this handout, and I'm going to try and get this to everyone. So I will have your emails and be able to send this to you. And then there is when you click on this spot here for the MOL training, you then click on the underline here and it says take-home test. It will open up. It's all open notes, open handbook, and it's not timed. So once you're done with it, you send me an email, or it may send me one as well, and I will look at it, review it, and if everything is good, send you back a notice that please register for a warrant. If you've missed too many of them, I will more likely send you back an email telling you which ones you missed and why, so that you would be able to refer to them in the book, and you have to resubmit the test. Once you resubmit the test, I will review it again, and then we'll do the registration, hopefully with everything fine. So, do you have any questions? I thought I heard someone was asking. After your 101 and 102 classes go on, you go online, you request for the warrant, you have the clicked on the drop down menu and you request the warrant after logging into this site, the warrant atlantia.sca.org. You can also print out and bring the warrant request form with you to 2 MOLITs. There is a training information that you have to bring with you that they have to sign that you did the apprenticeships with them. And after you finish them, you go to the same site and request it. You have to sit for at least 2 events to become fully warranted, but you're not limited to 2. If you're not comfortable, say, going in on your own after only 2 events of sitting and seeing how to do, please, you are welcome to do more than 2 sessions to become more comfortable with the table. If you want some assistance in knowing how to enter a report or watching an MOL put in another report, please email, let us know, and we can show you this. The MOL and technology course is going to describe this to you, but it's good to sometimes have a mentor with you if you can. There are opportunities on the Kingdom page to look for any event while with armor, rapier, equestrian, even youth. And then you email the MOL listed and ask to see if they need help. Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
So
know you left it.
if no MOL is listed, then you just MOL the marshal in charge. Of course, bring your paperwork so that they can be able to sign off on the event that you had done it. And you can just show up at an event, walk up to the MOL table and ask if they need help. But if you're going to do this, you want to introduce yourself earlier in the day. Let them know, hey, I'm here as an MOLIT. I would like to be able to help at the table if it's available. The most time we're going to need the help is in the early morning when we're checking everybody in. I can tell you. Be open about when you can or cannot help during the day. If you can't be there in the afternoon for some reason, or if you're going to be at the rapier field, but you want to be able to help people check in the morning and maybe help run the table for the armored field, things like that. Tell the MOLIC what you're comfortable with and what you don't know, what you're not comfortable with, and that you want to learn. This is all of a learning process. It's preferred that you do each of these. You help check in the fighters at the beginning of the day, run or assist a tournament, or assist in running a tournament, and then help a fighter with an authorization. You want to try and do each one of these at some point in time in your training so that you can see how it's done. Your take-home test, as I said, it's and once you've completed your 2 MOL sessions, you have a test link here, but there's also I'm going to show you how to find this. Give me a moment. Click back over here to my MOL, if it'll let me. Here. It's not going to let me. All right. SCA. I'm going to show you the warrant database for a moment. And I'm going to show you, actually, no, I'm going to show you the SCA database. The fighter card system and take-home test over here has a, well, of course I can't get to it with that. How do I move this? That's not helpful. There we go. Sorry, underneath officers, can you see my screen, everyone, where I'm navigating on the screen?
I can see your screen, but if you're moving your mouse, I can't see that.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
still seeing
I
the,
see MOL warrant requirements
yeah,
still.
we're still seeing the
Yeah.
PDF, the
That's why I wanted to
PowerPoint.
know. Let me go to the PowerPoint and I'm going to see about changing what screen I'm sharing. All right, so let's new share. And I will go. And I'll share this screen. So I'm going to show you, can you now see the Kingdom homepage?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Underneath offices, you see Minister of the List. I'm going to click there. Let me know if it does not change for you, because it should show it to you. It'll bring you to the Minister of the List homepage. On the Minister of the List homepage for MOLs, there, if you click on that little tab, it gives you all of these little radial buttons in the middle. The publications has your handbook up here, and the MOL handbook there. And if we go back to the homepage, the training information is where you will click, and you'll find your internship paperwork here. If you click there, it will provide you with a form that you can download. I think you can partially fill this in online too, but you can at least download this or print this directly from the web and be able to see it. Let me know if anything you can't see what I'm doing. Okay. There's also right underneath the internship paperwork says take-home test found here. If you go into this, this will launch the take-home test, and then it will allow you to fill in the answers into the blanks, and it will post it to a Google Sheets that I have available to me, and I will be able to go in and review your answers. So this is how you do the internship for it. Let's go back for MOLs.
You've done all that, right? I don't think I've ever taken the test.
How about the training information for your internship paperwork? Right above the take-home test found here, if you click on the little underlined here, it'll launch the test. Underneath the internship paperwork found here, if you click on the here, it will give you your internship paperwork to be able to bring with you to be able to get signed for when you're sitting at the table and to document that you are actually doing the classes and that kind of thing. You want to, we don't have a training officer right now, so for now it's the KMOL that we're having you contact, that's me, to let us know if you are interested in doing this, if you're new to becoming an MOL. And so another one, so we have for MOLs, we go back to the main, and here's where you will find the fighter card system and the warrant system. Their lists are up there as well. And we will get into that into the MOL and technology class. I'm going to go back to my other screen. I'm going to change the share. Okay. Go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. So these are the things that you'll want to do. And once you have been warranted, you'll see your name on a list of MOLs, and it's underneath the warrant list. Okay. You can ask questions of any of your instructors, regional deputies, as well as myself. That is what we're here for. Don't be afraid to go up to the table and ask if they need help. Rely on your MOLIC. They have lots of experience and usually can answer various different kinds of questions. Um, when asking questions, be willing to wait as the MOIC may be involved in doing something else. There's a lot of times we'll have people come up and they don't realize you're in the middle of doing something. So it's a lot of a request to just kind of have a moment, be patient. We will be work with you. But don't expect it to be easy. We have some of the hardest working people at these events. It requires a lot of thought, dedication, hidden skill. It's fun because we get to see all the fighting. We get to see all of the neat tournaments that the different marshals come up with. We do see some of the good and some of the bad. If we have fighters get hurt on the field, we see that happen. We have to document that as part of every one of our reports. If ever anybody gets hurt on any field, especially if you're at a larger event and you're doing one table like the rapier table and someone got hurt on the armored field, you have to put that in your report to please refer to the armored report for possible for injuries and resolutions or something like that, so that you know that it happened, but it wasn't involving your field. And being an MOL, it's rewarding and enjoyable because you get to see how the guys progress. You get to see how all of it comes together. And it's really a part of the bigger dream that we all get to share. So for when you're preparing for an event, you want to contact the MOLIC. As I said, introduce yourself. You want to ask what time the table opens. And if you need to bring any paperwork or supplies, like I said, usually the MOLIC has all the paperwork, but as all of us are usually fairly prepared, we usually bring our own as well. You want to definitely bring a chair. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to an event and needed my own chair. Hydration and food. You're responsible for your own, care. So anything that you need for yourself to take care of you, please bring. If you need a cooler with some ice and water beside you, that's fine. Just bring something to cover the cooler so it's not blatantly out of period kind of thing, because we are right up there in the forefront of all the fighting. So anything we have at the table is going to really be seen in a lot of the pictures. So we do our best to try and cover these things so they're not overtly seen. Weather items, sunblock, definitely. Hand warmers, some of the coldest events I've been to, it's cold and rainy. You are going to want something for your hands. You're going to want maybe a nice cozy little blanket to wrap around you. Anything to make you comfortable, definitely bring. Find the MOL tent once you get there and where it will be. Introduce yourself again, like I said. Even if you're not going to be doing something until much later, that way they know you're there. Um, if you can help set up the tent and table, this is not usually too much because of a problem, because there's usually a lot of people trying to help get everything prepared for the site. But there have been situations and times when, you have to have people help you set it up. And like I said, with all of our paperwork and such, you want to have something to help hold down your paperwork, because the wind will take your paperwork and let it fly. Clipboards are good to have, but it's also helpful if you have a couple of paperweights or something, just something simple to help hold everything. And definitely remember to bring some pens. Um, basically, you're just going to ask the staff that's in charge what needs to be done. And then you get to start checking in fighters. Once they've got everything set up and they're ready to start rolling, you just ask, can we go ahead and do? And sit down and start checking in the fighters. Anyone entering the field have to be signed in on appropriate forms. There's a field staff sign in. So you have marshals, MOLs, your water bearers, heralds, even your photographers and such need to sign the form for the field staff so that we know if there's a chance they're going to be out on that field for any purpose or reason, they've signed in. Each fighter's discipline gets their own fighting sheet. You have heavy armored, basically. You have the rapier field, equestrian, and youth. And there's a link again underneath the MOL page that I was showing you that has forms, was the very first page, radial button. If you press that, it will bring you into a page that you can print all of your forms for this. This is the field sign-in sheet that they were describing for you. Like I said, there's a little legend. Go back, go back, go back. Ah, sorry, guys. I know you're seeing there. And go back to slideshow. Okay, so this form at the very bottom has what all of these little nomenclatures mean. And there's on this form two different C's. One stands for the chirurgeon, which we do not have that office any longer. The second one stands for consort. This form is going to be updated if it hasn't already been on the website to remove the chirurgeon office, as we in the SCA no longer recognize that office. The fighter sign-in sheet, again, all of these are the heavy armored fighting weapons forms on here. And again, it shows you each of the disciplines are. They are supposed to circle the ones that they're authorized in. And if you'll notice, there is a little column down here in the far right-hand side, says checked in at Troll. I had a person tell me at one of the events, I think it was at Coronation, that we're not allowed to ask this. I checked with our Kingdom Seneschal, who checked with the SCA Seneschal. We are perfectly fine and within our right to ask a person to prove that they have checked in at Troll. It's one of the reasons why we have site tokens many times, because of the complications we've had in the past of people literally just walking past Troll. If they've gotten to your fighter table, your your MOL table, and are signing in, they should already have their site token or some sort of documentation to say that they have. In some cases, if the site does not have site tokens for the event that's going on, a lot of times we'll keep a communication going between Troll and the MOL table in the event we need to, such as possibly texting or something like that to the person, the assistant that's down in Troll, because we want to make sure that if a person's checking in with you, that they have signed in at Troll, because when they sign in at Troll, it confirms their waiver form has been verified. We have to have people make sure that they have signed that for the purposes of our insurance. So,
So you don't just believe them if they say they've chimed in at Troll?
not usually. They keep saying that there is if they say yes, they've signed in at Troll. If you have, like, say you see on their person the little charm or whatever that they had from Troll, that's fine. But I've had people show up, say they've checked in at Troll, and they haven't. They have nothing to show that they have. And then when I check Troll, they're like, oh yeah, I got to go back there and do that. And this is a problem because it's based off of chivalry. And if they're willing to lie about it and say, yeah, I have, it's not supposed to be our place to basically enforce it, you know, but we are supposed to try and just verify it if we can. I do my best to just check to look, just quickly see if they have some like the site token on them somewhere. And a lot of the guys have gotten to this point. I only really have to worry about this, to be honest with you, at the larger events, such as WoW and Ruby and those, even Ymir, because a lot of times people don't want to have to wait to sign in at the line that's in the front. So they'll just go ahead, park on site where they know they're going, and then just come and sign in at MOL before they head back up to do the Troll. This is problematic, like I said. So they have to check in at Troll before they come into the MOL table. It's up to you if you accept what that they say that yes, they have. I'm just telling you that if we find in the back end that they haven't, that I don't know, we may end up having to follow through with the fighter at that point. I try to be my best to help our guys and girls who are going to be on this field to make sure that they remember to do this. Because I mean, they're busy, they're wanting to get on, they want to get a fight. They know they're going to be late or something. They want to get on the field because they're about to start or something. But it still doesn't allow them to be able to just bypass Troll. And I also know that there have been in some events where it's been very inconvenient for Troll. It's like Troll's all the way in one other building halfway across the way, and then the field is further down in another location where the MOLs are. And that too becomes problematic. So again, I'm just saying for everyone that you want to make sure that they've checked in at Troll. If you accept that they say they have, that's fine. If we have to follow up for something, if somebody gets hurt on the field and we find that they haven't checked in at Troll, then it becomes a problem. We do our best to make sure that these forms are as legible as possible also. One of my MOLs I know likes to write down everything. She likes to do the writing so that she can actually read the print. Because these guys will walk up with their their hands on the their gloves still on, and they really can't write very well sometimes with it, and still try to fill out your form. So another thing is to definitely make sure that it's a legible sign in too. It's an example of Baron Proganus. You can see how very disorganized the table can look, but I guarantee you the table is really not that bad. This form in the front, you can see they have a QAR for the fighter card system. So if they didn't bring their card or forgot their card, they can use their phone to look it up. There is a VOA and a couple of other sign-ins, but these are for all the sign-ins. And I do believe that this was at WoW when he was doing this, either WoW or Sacred Stone. But it can be very complicated for the table, as you can see. Your organizational skills will be challenged. It's the best way I can put that. The bigger the event, the more sign-in forms you're going to have, and the more you're going to have to keep track of. But it's one of those that if you set your table up well enough for yourself so you know where everything is and can work with it, so that you have an assistant maybe filling out forms for the rapier field while you do the armor field or some of that sort of thing, it will go a lot smoother. Have extra pens. The QR link that I showed you on the I had demonstrated on the table there is helpful to the fighters. Have paperweights, and don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure, let me check, if they ask questions about what's going on for on the field or when they're starting. Authorization process for combat archery. Both marshals doing the authorization must be authorized in combat archery. This is something they had originally were questionable about because we didn't have as many combat archery marshals, but now that we do, it is both have to be authorized. Make sure your fighter and marshals have an AEL. So if they fill out a verification of authorization, the Atlantean electronic login is how we find them in the system. You can look them up by last name. Again, this will get something we cover in the technology class, but the AEL is necessary to be able to fill it in and be able to make sure they have an account. The fighter signs in on the authorization sheet if they're going to do an authorization. It must print legibly. Like I said, I've had other people who actually fill it in for them so that we can read their actual name. They have to do a safety and knowledge check test with the marshal. This may mean that they also have to do a couple of fighting bouts that the marshal assigns for them to try and do to see that they know how to successfully be able to maneuver and use the weaponry and such on the field. And then they return to the MOL and report that they passed or failed. And then the MOL, the fighter, and the marshal have to complete a verification of authorization. This is a verification of authorization. This form at the very, very top must be filled in completely. And it is their legal name. It does have a space for their SCA name. When you go through and authorize someone, you circle the forms, all of them that the person has, not just the one that they're adding on or what have you. If they're already got weapon shield and they're going to do dual weapon, then you circle both of them. And then you draw a line through the rest of the different fighting forms in this square. The newer forms also have a section down here where it says member number that has also to denote whether or not it's for a minor that is authorizing. But this is one of the older forms for right now, so you still have the membership number. If they are a member, please try and include their member number. Otherwise, you can check non-member if they don't have a membership. The newer forms also have swapped around where the MOL and the marshals sign. So please be aware of who needs to sign which one of these boxes. Again, it is their legal name. And then they need to fill in their AEL. So if we need to find the marshal's information in the fighter card system, we can. And then, of course, you have to denote when you entered this information to the online system. If you are the MOL in charge, or the MOL in charge has asked you to enter your own authorizations, you will have to denote down here the date that you entered the information in the authorization in the fighter card system. Up at the top, of course, is the event and event date information. If you do a practice, practices do not normally require an MOL unless they're doing authorizations. But if you do a practice and they have authorizations there, you will have to enter it as a report into the warrant system as a regular report so that we may scan these authorizations, the VDOAs, for records and purposes. Make sure they're all filled out. The new form authorized, and you circle things. Now, for the MOLIC, this form, these forms and such, all the paperwork goes to the MOLIC when you're doing an event. Some of the large events have an MOLIC by discipline. So like you may have a rapier and a martial armored MOLIC. But they are responsible for filing each of the different event reports. So basically you never have to be an MOLIC. The purpose is just to try and help encourage our new MOLs and other MOLs to become ICs in charge. But all the paperwork is managed by the IC. And if you're having two different discipline MOLICs, then they're going to have each of their different discipline paperwork to file. And it will have to be scanned in and attached to the report when you file it. Event preparation is much the same. Contact your autocrat and need to know if you need tents or tables, any kind of chairs, if you need to get chairs. Find out when the site opens. Contact your marshal in charge to find out what each marshal activity is planning on doing, what kind of tournaments they want to run, how many fighters they're expecting or hoping for, how many authorizations they're expecting, and when to set up sign-in and authorization cutoff times, because some of the marshals don't want to have to do authorizations more than just like an hour in the very beginning. And then some of them will do them through the whole day. You want to contact other MOLs for assistance on the day of events so that you're not going to be sitting at that table alone. Like I said, you really want to have at least two, preferably more if you have a larger event. Check your MOL supplies. Make sure you have all your forms that you need and you have enough, different forms to handle the different activities and events. We obviously for the event, when you're at the event, you arrive on site before basically try to arrive on time or before. You want to get there when the site opens or as early enough to help set up. If you're going to be an MOL in charge, you want to be already on site or available so that when your staff shows up, you're there and they know where to find you or have an expected situation. If you're not able to be there immediately when everything's starting up or what have you, and will arrive later, coordinate with your other MOLs so that you have a contact point so they know who's going to be there waiting, helping them set up, do everything, and prepare the space for the MOL. You want to have coverings for weather. So one of the things I suggest for people is to sometimes keep a tarp kind of like handy, just in case it's going to rain, because like, as I said in this one, water and paperwork don't mix. For coronation, or excuse me, for crown tournament, it poured rain. And in the MOL tent, it was fairly dry, but we still had a little bit of dripping towards the end because of how saturated everything got. And the entire crew that I had, which were fabulous, by the way, I love them dearly, worked in the rain, having to use plastic bags to cover the paperwork. So if you have, check the weather. If you think that it's possibly going to rain, or if you just want to be prepared in general, keep maybe a box of like Ziploc baggies or something in your box, just in case, because you can always slip that paperwork in that box, in that Ziploc baggie, or put the Ziploc baggie over your paperwork on the clipboard so that you can hopefully keep it as dry as possible. But once your site starts, site opens and you can start checking in fighters and prepare for tournaments. You have times when you cut off times for sign-in authorizations and such a schedule. Be flexible with your marshals, but don't jeopardize their fighting time either. I mean, there's some things where they too have to be as flexible as possible, sometimes based off of the heat or possibly weather conditions and such. So again, work with your marshals to make it work for everybody. And then you want to report any unusual situations that occurred through the day on your report. Like I said, any kind of even weather conditions interrupting the fighting, you might want to conclude. You have an event report form that's available on the site as well underneath the forms. And this is helpful to fill out while you're at the event so that you have your information, legal name right here of your MIC. Your event reports have to be completed within 14 days of the event. So if you fill this form out while you're there and get some of the information, this is the same information that goes into the electronic system in the back end. So you'll have this form. You can put it as a face sheet for your actual report, and you can make one for both the armored and for the rapier or equestrian, however, whatever discipline you're actually reporting on. And that way, if they had different MICs for the different fields, you would have their legal information, what home group they're part of, and an email and phone contact for that marshal, along with the styles of attorneys that you did for that field and who was participating. It also lets you list down here on this written report any assisting MOLs and any problem fighters and comments of what might have happened. So you'll have it all right here. So when you sit down to do your report, you'll have that information readily available for you. The VOA, the reports must include your sign-in sheets, your final score sheets, your verification of authorization forms, and any other information pertinent to the issues. Of course, we have different tournaments. This is all part of the MO2 class, so I'm going to kind of skip through much of this because we'll talk about it. Youth fighters. Youth fighting has certain regulations we have to be careful about because parents and legal guardians must be on site. It is highly preferred that they are absolutely near the field in an emergency. In most cases, you want the parents right with them, with their youth at the fighting field. There is a separate youth fighter sign-in sheet. Fighter must have either have an authorization card or permission to practice. So if it's a practice, they have to have a permission to practice. If it's a fight, an actual event, they need to have an authorization card. Youth authorizations only require the parent-child waiver and a youth verification of auth to be filled out for that child to be able to authorize. But all of this paperwork gets sent to the KML. You do not scan or upload youth verification or authorization or that white waiver in with your report. You may include the sign-in sheet for the authorization as well as the sign-in sheet for the fighter field for the youth, but no personal information of the child or parent is made accessible from that scanned in report. This information gets sent to me, the KMOL. Minors may authorize for equestrian rider at age 5 of years of age. They can they become equestrian riders up to, and then at age 10 and above, they can authorize as in all but the EQ, joust, crest combat, and mounted combat. So because the youth basically from years 5 of age on up are all competing on the equestrian field as with the adults, they are all considered minors. They must have the KEO and KEM or designee to be present for their authorizations and do not require a first practice observation on that minor combatant form. So there is a minor combatant form that you fill out for minors, but for the equestrians, it is not required to have that first practice. And the event that they are getting authorized at can be their first event. There are a few things, the minor fighters, please. So minor authorizations, they're allowed for 16. Parent legal guardian must be on site. Paperwork is submitted to me and must include the parent waiver and minor combatant form of the VOA. These forms are not scanned or uploaded as part of the report again. We're trying to keep youth information or minor information off of the warrant site. No one is allowed on the equestrian field if they have not completed equestrian ground crew authorization. All EQ authorizations require a state waiver form to be signed for individuals authorized, even if they signed in at the gate. So if you authorize a equestrian person, there is a state waiver form that must come with their VOA. And the original paperwork for all of this is mailed to me after you have scanned in the equestrian information. If it is a minor that you're scanning it, that you're authorizing for EQ, you don't scan it as stated before. If you're familiar with the games, the EQ MOL may like have you serve as a line judge if possible. And if you're setting up bouts in order of competition, you want to give the horses running the course a couple of times of extra time to get a drink, change riders. So you got to be really flexible with the equestrian field. They have a mind of their own and will mess up any of your pairings. And unlike other fighting fields, the lists typically use multiple sign-ins, one for the day and being on the field, and the other is like on a scrap paper to know or indicate which of the riders are competing on which steeds they're riding. So the cutoff for the second sign-in should be about 60 minutes before the start, so that you can match up those pairings pretty well. Equestrian, you got to be patient and flexible. Like I said, you got to work with the marshal to ensure the safety of the rider and the horse. You get line calls prior to the next ride because you want to make sure a line call is where they want to make sure that the horse has cleared the field before the next one comes on. And so you expect delays. So bring food, water, and everything in your kit for you for that day. Cheering of the horses and riders is a fair, unbiased manner. So you kind of want to you want to cheer for them all together. So MOLs are verify authorizations of fighters, basically. We check the warrants of our marshals and keep the track of the list field for the event and practices for our kingdom. Okay. By following the SCA and kingdom policy, we ensure the safety of the field by acting as another observer. If you see something, say something. It just might help keep a fighter from getting hurt. However, we are not responsible for the safety of the field. Responsibility is in the fighter's hands to make sure they are prepared for the field. Through cooperation with our marshals, heralds, and other volunteers, the MOLs help to make the martial activities of our kingdom possible, guys. This is my summary for this. If you have any questions, please let me know. Speak up. I thoroughly want to hear from you.